Lightning Rod is currently in the transition process of becoming a hybrid. RMC built an empire off turning wooden coasters into hybrids, and now they do it with one of their own, a fan favorite. It's interesting, just about a year ago, GCI revealed their Titan track, and many of us believed it was either Great Coaster's attempt at a steel coaster, or their way of competing with RMC. I've previously made a full theory of GCI versus RMC and what this could mean for coasters entirely, but today, that's not the case. We're getting our first look at RMC retracting one of their own with the steel IBOX. Exactly what the Titan track was made for. Anyways, we're getting hybrid lightning rod, falling into the same category as rides like Twisted Timbers, Gemini, and White Lightning, leaning more towards the style of White Lightning, aka Florida's first hybrid. Busch Gardens. Anyways, Great Coasters did something new. They saw the amusement enterprise was changing in the way of hybrids, new inversions, and a mix of both. As being a wood manufacturer, it made perfect sense to adapt with the fast-paced, always changing competition. How would GCI counter? They said, let's make our coasters go upside down just like the competition. The best way to perform was by creating a hybrid of their own. Introducing the Titan track. I got to ride the Titan track and I'll say GCI did a great job. No welds makes it easier to maintain and produce. The steel track as a whole made it much easier to install, and we haven't seen it yet, but it can do some inversions. Don't worry, GCI will continue down their current path with wooden track and structure, but have the Titan track step in when things get a little aggressive. It's also worth mentioning GCI has played around with steel structure in the past on rides like InvadR and Texas Stingray. Okay, we get it, Zach. GCI is great and all, but what about lightning rod? LRod is an interesting case because it follows what GCI is doing, but in an RMC way. We're not seeing any new elements or an extended layout like RMC is famous for. We're simply just seeing a replacement for the track in places where it may be too aggressive for wood, or in places where wood is too hard to maintain. Think back to the infamous lightning rod pothole. A pothole is not a hole in the track. Instead, this is a part of the track that may compress differently than designed. Usually it has something to do with the foundations or soil it sits on. However, it can be worsened by too many forces acting upon the track or incorrect maintenance. But say if the pothole were to be replaced with a steel alternative, it would support the forces more, keeping the ride smooth. Because let's be honest, with lightning rod, RMC overdid the forces just a little. But Zach, you're late. We've known for weeks now that lightning rod is becoming a hybrid. But what you should know is there could be something behind the scenes dying, which could change RMC. This is Defunct Theory. It's coaster theory with a little bit of spice and a lot of murdered childhood favorites. Here we'll uncover some of your favorite gone but not forgotten nostalgia rides that have been ripped out of existence and uncover the truth to why they left. And if buried beside their grave is a deeper meaning. Anyways, today we're covering lightning rod. I know, I never thought I would be making a defunct video on such a beloved ride such as Dollywood's headline attraction. Before you go ranting in the comments telling me how wrong I am and how this gets you more angry than Airtime Thrills putting Diamondback as the best B&M hyper.
Also, the tickler at Luna Park is themed as Zach from Theme Park Media for some reason, and it's just creepy.
This means war, Chris. Anyways, I just want to say no. I don't think Lightning Rod will go defunct, and no, I don't think RMC will go defunct. However, I do think a part of each is dying, and there's no bringing it back. At least not the way we have it now. Let's start by taking a look at how RMC is playing the game. Don't go for records, at least not right away. Instead, bring the scale of coasters down, but the quality of airtime and inversions up. For instance, even now that RMC is going for hybrid records, these rides are still much smaller than others. I mean, one of the biggest and baddest of them all sits in the back of Cedar Point, but you still have coasters over twice the size. RMC is able to make such an impact with their rides by doing never before seen elements and layouts, as well as putting a twist on what is already out there. Nearly everyone makes steel coasters. Even lead RMC engineer Alan Schilke had his startup building steel coasters. Instead, they went into a different market. Woodies and hybrids. There wasn't much to hybrids before RMC's first creation, New Texas Giant. The same goes for wooden coasters. Yes, there were many more wooden coasters than hybrids, but we only saw them get super extreme with RMC's influence. I'd say there's a couple exceptions, such as the prefabs, but I'd say those are out of the equation now because there were only 4 built. And of course, Son of Beast is an exception because it was so big. This is a perfect example why you start small and work your way up. If you start at the top, there's more room for failure. We all know and have come to love the hybrids, but there's still a whole second half to RMC. Woodies and Raptors, but that's a theory for another day. RMC designed the steel IBOX and wooden topper track alongside each other, making them the exact same proportions. Thus why both the IBOX and topper track align for lightning rod. Both of these tracks were designed with the sole purpose of extreme maneuvers such as ejector airtime, inversions, and the ability to be a hypercoaster. Both tracks are so, honestly, revolutionary, parks can order records for either a hybrid or wooden coaster. This is how Lightning Rod can have the proportions of a hypercoaster but still be a woody. But Lightning Rod has had major issues. The pothole, the launch, and the aging wooden track versus our alternative steel track. I'm not a review channel, I recommend Coaster Studios for that, but I'm gonna give it my best shot. Outlaw Run feels like a PTC with inversions, but the train improves it slightly. Feel free to disagree like most Airtime Thrills lists, but this is how I feel towards Outlaw Run, the first RMC topper woody. I want to put emphasis on first because we can get an idea of how it ages. Is it bad? No, not at all, but compared to even older hybrids, it doesn't shine. After riding Outlaw Run, I completely understand why Dollywood might want to nip this in the bud and replace some spots with steel track, thus hybrid rod. Now, if parks order a wooden coaster and then go back to replace the track, this raises the question, why wood to begin with? Why not just give it steel track? It's all because the park can attack some of those wooden coaster records. Now that a hyper hybrid is a thing, parks are gonna start going after that. In other words, RMC will stop selling wooden coasters because it will cost more on the park's end in maintenance for only a few years of a glossy ride. The RMC topper track will go defunct, and the 2 Herschend woodies, Outlaw Run and Lightning Rod, is how we prove it. But in the end, it's just a theory. So let me know what you think down below. But in the meantime, you too can become a coaster theorist by clicking that subscribe button down below. By clicking the link in the description, you can go check out some awesome theme park media, coaster theory, and Talkin' Trimless apparel. When we hit 10K, I'll be giving some of it away. So if you want some free merch, click that subscribe button down below. Lastly, go check out my podcast for exclusive interviews with some of your favorite coaster content creators, and yes, we have one with Airtime Thrills. Link is in the description down below. Thank you all for watching today's video. I'm Zach from Theme Park Media. I hope you enjoyed the first ever episode of Defunct Theory, and I will catch you in the next one.